Okay, now we are trying to contact Dr. Mahmoud Vaezi. There is a phrase that says, last not the least. Let me introduce him to you while we are trying to get a hold of him. Yeah, he's on. Salaam alaikum, doctor. Phrase that says, let me introduce him to you while we are trying to get a hold of him. Yeah, he's on. Salaam alaikum, doctor.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, sir? I think you are watching us through YouTube or Opera. Would you please make it mute and talk to us via your cell phone, please?
Okay, it's very nice. Your voice is very nice.
Perfect. Thank you, doctor. Let me quickly introduce you to our audience. Then we will give you the stage to have your presentation. Here with me, Dr. Mahmoud Vaezi holds a PhD in Quranic Sciences and Tradition from University of Tehran. He's a head of Center for Higher Studies of Islamic Revolution at University of Tehran, and he joined us from Tehran. As I understand, doctor, your subject is Imam Khomeini's thoughts as a pioneer of the future paradigm of the world. Please, the screen and the stage is all yours.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ومن المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه ومنهم من قضى نحبه ومنهم من ينتظر. Firstly, I should present my warm appreciations and thanks to the organizers of this magnificent and fruitful program, specifically the Cultural Council of Islamic Republic of Iran, Mr. Hossein Zadeh and his good colleagues. Secondly, we should say that Imam Khomeini's commemoration day is a day to commemorate all the free people of the world. It's the day of commemoration of the great hero of Africa, Nelson Mandela. And it's the day of commemoration of all the oppressed people and the martyrs, resistance who have risen up against oppression and the system of domination, have risen up against discrimination and injustice in all over the world. Thirdly, the title of my paper in this good conference is Imam Khomeini's thought as a pioneer of the future paradigm of the world. Analyzing the future ahead is one of the most fascinating and valuable topics for all human beings. Futurist scholars of the world have interpreted the paradigm of global future in different ways. My paper lets me to raise up a few questions about my paper. We should ask three questions. The first question is, what is the fourth wave? And what's the next paradigm of the world? And what are the important futurist points of view? And the next question is Imam Khomeini's thought as a pioneer of future paradigm. And the third, what are the distinguished character of the next paradigm in Imam Khomeini's points of view? Very, very summary, I want to have a report from my article. In his book, The Third Wave, and based on his historical analysis, Elvin Toffler named the first wave as agricultural wave, the second global wave as an industrial wave, and the third one as an electronics, He considered the civilization of the new age as the deconstruction and breaking down the regular and old values and tradition in all sectors of the society, which encompass the family to the governance. In this limited time, we have not enough time to talk about. The next famous futurist, Dr. Suhail Inayatullah, believes that the future global standard has a distinct identity from previous one. The criteria of organizations and institution development are welfare, social justice, and environment. Triple line bottom. He said that everything is changed nowadays. Organizations have other obligations besides the benefits and profits. And it's because of beneficiaries changes, not because of the generosity of companies or institutions and organizations. It's very important. Recipients are not just shareholders, somewhat staff managers, and the environment beyond the organization and so on have a useful role and should pay attention to them. Accordingly, he has viewed the paradigm of the world's future as a spirituality. He said that the next paradigm of the world may be spirituality. And others, for example, some other people like Professor Powell Ray or Sherry Anderson, they say that culture or cultural creativity may be the next paradigm of the world. I suppose that these three come to one point. Maybe under the umbrella of the spirituality, we can gather also the cultural creativity. Good. Verifying Imam Khomeini's doctrine and his fundamental values, we find out that from social point of view, there are two fundamental characteristics that distinguish Imam's spirituality from others. First, rationality in personal life and social interaction. Then the epic spirituality that has dedicated itself most of the Quranic narratives and historical teachings of Imam's heritage. Imam was noticing to the principle of spirituality not in the unilateral and superficial form, but as a contract-based and legislated principle, and not within the limit of personal and family interest, but rather as a comprehensive at individual and family and social levels. It's a very, very wide and important. The domain of conceptual communication and connection of a spirituality principle based on his ideological infrastructure towards teachings of the Holy Quran is manifested not only in verbal signs, but also in the depth of souls, in a set of phenomena of the nature world and all particles of entity in the presence of Almighty Allah. Thus, in his standpoint, all material world and entity manifestations have a color of spirituality. It's very, very important. If you study the indicators which Mr. Ayatollah or other futurists say, they're completely different. Imam Khomeini said that everything in the universe has a color of spirituality within itself. And the light of spirituality is present over the whole universe, from superior to inferior one, and from east to west. With the emergence of paradigms of industry and age of IT in recent centuries, the term spirituality gradually become obsolete, and its meaning and application at the social daily life in parallel with the development and spirit of modernity decline, I suppose. As the result of increase in the presence of technology and social welfare, devastating wars, violation to others' rights, aggression to unprecedented killing in the world took place instead of sovereignty of peace on human life. Today's human, more than any other time in the past, feel a gap of concept, spirituality. Of course, global public welcome to this valuable concept has made a situation in the present age in which spirituality as a highly welcome third find many advocates and the dealers of the world policies and colonization do not ignore the fabricate a fake substitute for this title. It's very important to distort it within certain fulfillment frameworks to serve their inhuman objectives. As well as Anderson said, we should distinguish between real spirituality and further spirituality. It's very important. Spirituality, yes, it's a word. Everyone may use this word, but it's important to realize, to distinguish between real one and the false one. We can categorize and we can summarize the Imam Khomeini's indicator and character of spirituality like this. Imam Khomeini's belief that, Imam Khomeini's point of view is that building spirituality and inner affairs on the background of rationality and keeping away from superstitious prevailing among the followers of other climate schools. It's the first one. So spirituality is important, and maybe the next paradigm of the world that is based on rationality. It's very, very important. The second one, God-centeredness and absolution in all aspects of the entity. And the third one, justice-centeredness, fighting against suppression and content combat against the claimants of force and deception in all social, political, and cultural senses. And the fourth one, simplicity and contentment in individual life and social behaviors, in particular at the time of undertaking social responsibility. It's very, very important for responsible people. And the fifth one, having no exception in lieu of presenting services and social untiring efforts. Special attention in all affairs towards the unitary creator and divine essence, which is the sum of all goodness, optimism towards a clear and flourishing future full of welfare, peace and public tranquility, lofty ethical and human values and attributes in relation with self, others, and absolute essence. In the conclusion, we can say that in truth, such an spirituality as the fourth global wave can be beautiful, admirable, and optimistic for all fair and unprejudiced human beings with any tendency. We hope so. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. Thank you very much.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much for being with us. Now it's actually 8 o'clock in South Africa and 10:30 in Tehran. It's late. Thank you for staying with us. It takes time. It's around 2 hours. All of you are with us. Thank you, doctor. All the best. Bye.
Very much. Have a nice time.